Okay, y'all, so this is a voiceover. What you want to do is you want to tape everything off before you even start, or after you get done cleaning the headlight lens, because you want to protect the paint, because you don't want to end up having to either fix the paint or pay for it to be fixed. So it's just better to avoid all that and tape everything off. But after you're done taping everything off, or before, take you some glass cleaner or some soapy dishwashing liquid water, like Dawn water or whatever, warm preferably, and rinse the headlight off. So wash the headlight off so you get the dirt and the loose debris, so when you're wet sanding or even buffing, you don't end up scratching the lens to where it won't buff out, because that can happen. So now you want to go ahead and start sanding. Sand with, usually I start out with 1,000. You can start out with like a 600 or 800, something to cut through the oxidation and all that, because what you're doing is you're sanding off all the oxidation, the film that the factory puts on it and everything to protect it. So, because that only lasts so long. So that's what you're doing. You're wet sanding all that oxidation and dead protectant and everything off of there. And if it's really bad, it's better to use like an 800, sometimes 600. But yeah, I start out with 1,000. And I do the 1,000, and then I'll work up. Now you go one direction with one sandpaper. Like I'm going back and forth, side to side with this one. So I'll go side to side and see, this is what the tape is for, because when you get to the edges, you can bump that paint. So the tape is to protect that. And you want to make sure, because this is wet sanding, you want to make sure you keep it wet, because if you don't keep it wet while you're wet sanding, that can cause you problems. So you'll end up getting, and then you want to go ahead and wipe that off. So and then what I go to next is a 1,500. Make sure, like I said, make sure it's wet. So, and now you want to go in the opposite direction of what you were going with the first one. So the first one, I was going side by side. This one, I'm going to go up and down. And it just has to do with the sand marks. It helps get the sand marks out when you're buffing it, so makes everything more even. And I'm sure there's other reasons, but it's just not really coming to mind right now. But I am going to do another video, and I think I said that at the beginning. I am going to do another video, but yeah, see, so up and down this way. Yeah, make sure, keep it wet. And you can put more tape around. You can put more tape around if you feel like you need to. So, and then whenever you get done with that, you'll go ahead and clean this off too. So you clean it off again. And now, this next step. Now I'm going to use a 2,000. So I'm going to use a 2,000. I'm going to get it wet again. And now I'm going to go back the original direction I was going the side by side. Now you don't have to go side by side at first and then up and down, then side by side. You know, you can go up and down the first time, side by side the second time, all that. But yeah, so, and you keep doing this, you know, you keep going up in grit. So the sand marks become finer, so they're easier to buff out. Because if you end up with sand marks that are too thick, too wide, however you want to put it, they're a lot harder to get out. And I'll probably do a video on buffing scratches out too, because this is the same way you do to buff a scratch out in paint. Yeah, and then you go ahead and you clean it off and everything again. Well, I was still sanding, but yeah, when you get done sanding, you clean it off, and you can usually see it as you keep sanding. You can usually see it getting a little clearer, even though when it dries, it's hazier. So, but yeah. Now, on this one, this is the last time I'm going over it with 3000. This is really fine. So, and this I'm just going to go up and down. So, again. But yeah, this is your last step. The finest that you go is like a 3000, and this is your last step. So you go ahead and you do this, and when you're done, you know, you wipe it off, you clean it off, just like before. So I got it sped up because there's really only so much you can say, you know. But yeah, make sure you get those edges. Now you'll see stuff at the edges usually, and that's because it's like dirt on the inside or whatever, and there's nothing you can do about it unless you pop the lens off. Now we're on to the actual buffing step. Now, as y'all can tell, I really need a new pad. I got some other pads, but I gotta find them. So, but yeah. So and hitting the edges and like where the letters are raised on the headlight on the outside of the lens, it'll tear your pad up. So, and usually I'll use a couple different pads. I'll use one for the compound, one for the polishing, and you can use different kind of polishes. Like you can use McGuire's plastics. You can use Mother's mag and wheel polish, which that's really good too, but this is the way I usually do. I usually use a McGuire's Ultimate Compound first to buff it and go over it, you know. And I honestly like using my bigger buffer better. I think it gives better results than the smaller one, but that's just me. But yeah, now you don't necessarily have to go in any certain direction when you're buffing a headlight. Now you want to when you're buffing paint. But yeah, see, now I'm going over it with an ultimate polish. Now what I normally do is I'll change the pad from the compound to the polish, but I gotta find my other pads. And you don't have to do this, but if you really pay attention, and you won't see it on camera, but in person, if you really pay attention to polish, to go from a compound to a polish, it just makes it pop just a little bit more. Not a whole lot, but just enough. So that's the reason why I use the polish. Just to add that extra pop to it. So, but yeah, this is what I was talking about with the wheel. Like when you get to the edge, if you don't watch it, you can bump that paint with the wheel, and which is what the pad can connects to. And you'll have a problem then. And then, you want to get the excess off and everything. So you want to get the excess off. Look at that. Looks great, don't it? But you see the dirt on the edge, but that's not anything I could do about it. Okay, now when you're done polishing and everything, you want to take a glass cleaner or like dishwashing liquid, warm dishwashing liquid water, and go over it so you can get all that excess compound and polish and everything off. Otherwise, your ceramic coating or whatever protecting you put on it is not gonna stick. It's not gonna hold to the plastic. Now, you can leave the paint on for that, the tape on for that, or you could take the tape off. Now it's time to apply the ceramic coat. Now, the ceramic coat's kind of like sanding. You go one direction on one application because you want to apply it 2 or 3 times. So, but you want to go one direction as best you can. And make sure you do evenly, because this stuff it can set uneven. So now, in between applications, you want to let it sit for a couple minutes. But yeah, see, now you go the other direction with it. And I usually do 3 coats. So, but yeah, you want to make sure, because ceramic coating can be applied and harden unevenly. But you want to get that even, especially if you're doing it over paint. But yeah, like I said, I usually do 2 or 3 coats. But see, look at that. Or I usually do 3 coats, I mean. Okay, so see, look at the difference. This is the other one. This is the driver's side, which I'm gonna go do this. I was running out of sunlight and I didn't want to try to work on that one. So, but look at the difference in them. It's a big difference. So, and I'm probably gonna do the other video where it's just raw audio, if I can get it to where there's no dogs barking. But yeah. And that's it, y'all. That's how you restore some headlights. Nothing to it, really. Nothing at all. Peace, y'all.